Hello and welcome to the Knitting Type podcast. Today is Sunday, November 6th, and my name is Sara, and I am the host of this podcast called The Knitting Type. I am recording live from Fort Collins, Colorado, and welcome. So today I have a couple of segments. This is podcast episode 13. And it's like my third or fourth week recording live in a row. I had been doing originally my podcasts like every 2 to 3 weeks, and now I am doing them weekly through at least the end of November due to a very special knit-along that I'm hosting. So with that being said, if you're interested in finding me on social media, I can be found on all the places as The Knitting Type. So as The Knitting Type, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Etsy. I have a store where I sell some project bags and bracelets and other such things that I make. You can find me on Blogger, where I have a really old blog called The Knitting Type. You can find me on Instagram and Aile, although I don't really look at it or check it. I might have removed it from my phone. I can't remember. You can find, I think that might be it. Oh, Gmail. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Gmail as well. And so today what we're going to be talking about is I have a couple housekeeping announcements. I have a giveaway announcement for a winner for last week's giveaway. I have a giveaway for this week's podcast. In this week's episode, I have some hose and whips. I don't have any FOs, no finished objects. I've been remiss. I had a very busy week, so I didn't get done all the things I wanted to. And then I'm going to talk more about our Gilmore Girls knit along, and I have a story to share. And I did start my official knit along project, so I'll share that. And that's about it. So before we get started, I'll address my really awesome t-shirt, which says yarn or groceries. And I think it's pretty obvious I would choose yarn. I mean, obviously you got to eat, but you buy the cheap food and the really nice yarn. Priorities. So this is a shirt that I got from the Loopy and it is designed by Nerd String, which I believe is Renee. And that's Nerd with a K, K-N-E-R-D, and I'll link that in my show notes. Oh, so I should say that I have a Ravelry group called the Knitting Type Podcast. And so I put all my show notes for every episode up on Ravelry under my podcast group. And that is also where I am hosting the knit along discussion boards and such. So with that, in the name of housekeeping, I just want to say that I've had a phenomenal week as far as like social media goes, and the Ravelry group got a couple new members, and our knit along group for the Gilmore Girls knit along has seen a lot of discussion and a lot of people posting projects, which has been really exciting. And I also have a project bag swap going on right now, and signups for that are on the Knitting Type podcast group as well. So I'll talk more about that probably at the end of the podcast. And so if you like this podcast and you're interested in seeing the details of the episodes or anything that I talk about, really, I post it on the Ravelry group. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and announce the prize winner for last week because that's always exciting. So I had 41 comments when I checked this morning, and I did random number generator, and I took a picture of it because I thought I'm not going to try to do it on the podcast today. I tried to do that last week, and it was so painful. I had to edit out like 15 minutes of me trying to figure out how to work random number generator. So, let's see, where's my camera? Okay, so 1 through 41, and I guess I'll show what the prize was. The prize was this. So it's a Notions pouch, in fabric that says 1,000 yellow daisies, and that is a Gilmore Girls quote about an episode where Lorelai is proposed to with 1,000 yellow daisies, and then these Gilmore Girls stickers that just have quotes and character faces and such. So that was the prize for last week for the podcast. In order to be entered for the prize, you had to leave a comment on the podcast answering the question, who is your favorite Gilmore Girls character and why? And so I had 41 comments, and they were all so fabulous. People, I think we had a nice variety. I had some people say Miss Babette. I had some people say Lane Kim. I had, of course, a lot of Rory's and Lorelai's with just great explanations as to why, and surprisingly very unique. Some of my favorite comments were the ones for Kirk, because he's a fairly quirky character. And actually, I think the very first comment I got was for Kirk, and I thought, well, that's nice. Good for him. Okay, so this is Sara from the future. I forgot to mention who my favorite Gilmore Girls character is, and I have to say that I racked my brain. I asked this question of all of you to tell me who your favorite character was and to pick one, and then I realized I'm not good at picking favorites. I tend to appreciate everything for its own individuality, and so when I started to think about it and think about who would my favorite character be, I was in the middle of watching Gilmore Girls and I thought, well, I kind of like Paris. I kind of like Paris because she has so much development to go through. I mean, you really kind of get to see her go from this crazy, controlling type A to some self-exploration, and she has her Paris craft corner, and her look doesn't totally change, but you know, she cuts her hair and we get to see her out of the Chilton uniform eventually. And I think it's so interesting that her character has such a tough exterior, and she comes across as one of these people that's really hard to get to know. And so I like when they expose the softer side of Paris and they show how vulnerable she can be. And then with that, I think she has some of the best one-liners. One of my favorites was when Paris and Rory were outside of Yale campaigning for, I forget, starving people in Burma, I believe. And it starts raining on them and it starts pouring. And so they run back to their room, and in the hallway, they run into a girl. And they're sopping wet because Rory and Paris got caught in the rain, and they run into a girl that says, "Oh, is it raining outside?" And Paris says, "No, it's National Baptist." No, she said, blah, blah. She says, "No, it's National Baptism Day. Tie your tubes, you idiot." And I just thought, like, that's so clever. And of course, that's Amy Sherman Palladino, the writer. But it's also, I think Paris just gets some of the best cutting, sarcastic one-liners, and I really appreciate that in the humor and the intelligence behind the humor, which is also why I enjoy the show and all the characters. So let's give away that prize. Okay, so 1 through 41, and the random number generator picked number 23. So comment number 23 was Carey Waldon, and she said that she liked Lorelai the most. So congratulations, Carey Waldon. If you will just send me a private message on either Instagram or Ravelry, again, my profile name is TheKnittingType, and send me a private message with your mailing address, and I'll get this sent out to you this week. So yay, good job. Congrats, Carey. But no fear if you didn't win it, because I'm going to have giveaways all week long, or all week long, each podcast, all month long. I am drinking tea, white tea. Couldn't tell you what it is. It's got blueberry, hibiscus. My phone just went off. Sorry. Okay, so that was our giveaway. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into my knitting that I've done. So if you're here just for the knitting, it's happening. So welcome. And I apologize in advance for all the sniffling and swallowing. It's like fall coming, and so I don't know, I just got a lot going on in sinuses. So attractive. So this is a project that I have shown for the last couple weeks, and I'm so close to being done, guys. It's embarrassing. But these are my Sous on Aile socks from the Harry Potter Knit Along hosted by Lydia Brown of O Loops podcast. And she's having a 3-month Harry Potter Knit Along. And so you can kind of see my progress keeper from where I was. So I did a pretty good amount of work this week, I would say. It was basically kind of right here is where I had stopped when last week for my last podcast. So, you know, I'm almost done with the foot and then the heel or the toe decrease, and then I'll be done. And of course the deadline's already passed because I was supposed to have this done by the end of October, and that didn't happen. And I haven't even started my November challenge project. But it is a 3-month knit along, and every month there's a new challenge. So because of my knit along, I might have to skip November. Anyway, if this is your first time tuning in, this beautiful white speckled yarn was dyed by Lydia Brown of O Loops, and this is on her Loyal Companion colorway, and it is, let's see if I can get the light on it. There we go. This camera, I'm getting a new camera, so if my camera frustrates you, I apologize, but I am going to get a new one. So this is kind of like a creamy yarn with speckles of pink and blue and brown and yellow and purple. And I am knitting these socks on size 1 Chiagu needles, which is 2.25 millimeter. And I'm doing a heel toe cuff in Dream Yarns Everlasting Sock in the Brownie colorway. And it's a shorty sock. And so this is an example of what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So I have one done, and the pattern is called Sous on Aile, and I knit a eye of partridge cuff because that's my favorite, and did a 1x1 twisted rib for about 6 or 7 rows, and did an alternating heel toe cuff. So hopefully I'll be done soon. Maybe this week. So that's my half-finished object and my whip. Whip it good. Silliness. Okay, and this is my project that I started just yesterday because my yarn finally came in from the Yarn at Home mom. So if you want to see what this skein looks like before it's wound, then check out my Instagram page because I took a picture of it right when the yarn came in and I posted it on Instagram. This yarn is by the Yarn at Home mom. So first I will show her label. That's her label. Focus. Focus. Ugh. Okay, I'm totally getting a new camera. I don't know at what point you can see it well, but that's her label. This colorway is called Dragonfly Inn, and it is, there we go. It is based on Gilmore Girls. The Yarn at Home mom has a lot of Gilmore Girls yarn colorways, and I chose this one for my Gilmore KAL project for this month, and I just loved all the colors. It's got browns and coppers and blues and purples and like what I would call aubergine, which is like a pink mauve color. And this is on her Hearty Sock base, which is 80% super merino wash, 20% nylon, and you get 400 yards or 100 grams, and it is a 2-ply yarn. And yeah, it's super wash, so technically you could put it in the machine. I probably won't because that terrifies me. And then I chose to do, of course, an alternating heel toe cuff, and I'm doing it in this navy color, which is, that's a good focal point. Okay, this colorway is by the Loopy U, and it is their solid series in the navy color, and so this is their label. So what I really liked was when I started knitting this up, I realized that this navy blue is very much representative of Yale colors or Chilton colors, which are the two schools that the character Rory Gilmore goes to in the show The Gilmore Girls. And then this, being the Dragonfly Inn, is Lorelai's major accomplishment. So you have Rory's major accomplishment and Lorelai's within the series. And so I just thought that was kind of symbolic. And then the pattern that I am knitting is Where You Lead, I Will Follow by CC Almond, who is Java Pearl Designs. And this is, without giving too much away, let's see, this is the pattern kind of sort of information. So if you're interested in it, you can go onto Ravelry and look up Java Pearl, one word, designs, and look for the Where You Lead, I Will Follow pattern. CC Almond did agree to donate, or did agree, has offered to donate the sock pattern for the grand prize. So at the end of the month of our knit along, her pattern will be included with the grand prize. Okay, so my sock progress. Oh, all in one night, guys. I don't even know how long I knit on this, but I want to say it was like a couple hours. And so this pattern is supposed to kind of have a little bit of a lace design where you get like a panel that weaves this way and this way and this way, and they kind of intertwine. And the idea is that it's Rory and Lorelai's paths crossing. I believe that's what CC said. So I think it's just knitting up beautifully. I will say, when I saw this skein of yarn in a tank, unwound, like uncaked, I thought, you know, it's pretty. It kind of has some more grayish champagne colored tones than I was expecting. But as I'm seeing it knit up, it's just so darn beautiful. And every fleck of color is gorgeous. And I'm just absolutely loving how it's paired up with this navy blue, which of course I'll do the heel toe cuff in. Now, again, the pattern is written toe up, and I don't knit toe up socks yet. And because of the tight deadline, I just wanted to get started and not teach myself how to knit toe up. So I've reversed the pattern, and I'm reading the chart top down, and I think I'm also reading it right to left. No, left to right instead of right to left. So my zigzags are kind of going the opposite direction of the pattern, but I think the pattern is still going to work out. So I am knitting these again on a 1.0 Chiagu needle in, which is 2.25 millimeter. And I cast on 64 stitches for this. And then I did about 10 rows. So that's thicker than the band I did on the shorty socks. And that's because once this stretches, the ribbing tends to get thinner. And so, I don't know, I just kind of wanted a thicker band. So that's it. That's the progress I've made. And I have, let's see, today's the 6th, so I have 24 days to bust out the entire pair. So with that, I guess we'll get into the Gilmore Girls knit along details so that I can kind of tell you if you would like to join us, which you can do at any time, how to do that and what the details are of the knit along. So I will say that the knit along goes through the 30th of November. So it started November 1st, and you have until November 30th to knit something Gilmore Girls related. And it can be anything Gilmore Girls related that interests you. So it can be something that is an actual pattern, and we have a lot of pattern ideas that are being shared in the discussion group on Ravelry, or it could be a yarn, just a yarn, and then you could knit any pattern you want, or it could be something that you saw on the show and you want to try to replicate it, or it can just be anything that you can justify as being Gilmore Girls related. I am happy to accept anything. Some of the questions that have been asked in the discussion board are WIPs allowed? And I say yes, because the whole purpose of the KAL is really for us to just kind of all come together and chat on the Ravelry board about our excitement for the Gilmore Girls revival, and just share our enthusiasm of Gilmore Girls inspired knits and quotes and characters and all of that fun stuff. So it's not really about completing any type of project. It's just really about coming together and being in the moment and sharing in our enthusiasm while knitting and maybe watching Gilmore Girls. So I believe, oh, okay. And then so at the end of the knit along, which will end on November 30th, I will close the discussion. Well, excuse me. I will have a discussion thread open in the Ravelry group for either works in progress or finished objects. And I will encourage no chatter and just have people post pictures by November 30th. I would ask that you only post one picture, so don't post your progress of the project that you're currently working on. So just really one entry per participant. And then I'll do the drawing in the Sunday following November 30th. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of giveaways for the Gilmore Girls KAL. I just think that giveaways are fun, and I like giving away stuff, and I like winning things, and there are so many great Gilmore Girls things out on Etsy to give away that I've just kind of purchased a bunch of stuff, or I've had some things donated, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway weekly on my podcast. And then I'm going to be doing a giveaway on Instagram weekly. So how it will work is that I will only show the podcast's giveaway on the podcast, and I will only show the Instagram giveaways on the Instagram. So if you would like to be entered to win in an Instagram prize, then you have to go to my Instagram page or profile under the Knitting Type and see what the current giveaway is, and then there are instructions in whatever giveaway photo that is. But they are all Gilmore Girls inspired. And then for the podcast each week, I'll show a giveaway, and then I will instruct you on how to enter to win that giveaway. So speaking of that, we also have some coupon codes that have been donated to the podcast, and they're in my show notes from last week. But I've also posted them in the Ravelry group, The Knitting Type. So if you if you want to use one of the coupon codes from one of the vendors that I'm selling some things from, I've got a thread in Ravelry that I believe it's called Gilmore Girls Coupon Codes. And in there, I'm just listing all the coupon codes that I'm offering via this podcast. And so far, they are the Yarn at Home Mom, which is the yarn that I showed, and I'm going to be giving away many of her mini skeins that are Gilmore Girls inspired in all my giveaways. And she has offered the discount code of GGFans10, which is 10% off her Etsy shop. And then from the Nomadic Knitter, who makes Progress Keepers, and she has lots of food and junk food inspired Progress Keepers, which I think are very Gilmore Girls like. She has offered us a coupon code of KnittingType 15, and that is for 15% off a $10 or more purchase. And then lastly, Shauna from Adelaide Cottage, which is also a podcast, is currently making some Gilmore Girls inspired kits with Gilmore Girls fabric, and she has offered us a coupon code of GGLOVE for 10% off a purchase in her shop. And I believe she also has some Gilmore Girls inspired yarn. So those are the current coupon codes. And in case you didn't catch them on the podcast, I will have them in the show notes in YouTube, as well as my show notes in Ravelry, as well as on the Ravelry thread, Gilmore Girls coupon codes. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to get right to the point where I tell you my weekly Gilmore Girls story. So part of the knit along that I thought would be fun in my weekly podcast is to share a Gilmore Girls inspired story that personally relates to something that happened in my life. And if you didn't see last week's podcast, I sincerely encourage you to go back and watch it if you're a Gilmore Girls fan, because I told a very unique story about meeting one of the characters in real life in a candid situation. I'm not going to tell you which one. You're going to have to go back and watch the podcast, but it's pretty exciting. So this week's story, tea break, is that I toured the Warner Brothers studio. So last week in my podcast, I shared that I had lived in LA for a while. And while living there, I never really did anything touristy until right before I left, and some friends came to visit and they wanted to see the Warner Brothers studio lot. And so I thought, okay, well, I live right next to the Warner Brothers studio lot, so why not? And oh, by the way, the area that I lived in was called Burbank. So Burbank, California. They have their own airport. They're right in Hollywood. And that's where I lived. So I toured the Warner Brothers studio lot, and I had no idea what we were going to see. I think when you do the tour, they just kind of take you around, and whatever set is currently available are the ones that you get to see. Like, this is bugging me. My shirt collar's all off. No, the other way. Okay, distracted. So it depends on the filming schedule as far as what sets you're going to be able to see, or if you're even going to see a celebrity that's just walking in between studio lots and recordings. So while I was on this Warner Brothers tour, they take you around in a golf cart, and you go from like they're like a bunch of sheds, at least or warehouses with doors. That's what they look like to me. And you're on a golf cart, and they take you from one to another, and those are what they call their filming lots. And once you go inside what looks like a shed or a storage unit, it's actually a big filming stage. And they also have like a town that you can walk through. And so our golf cart went through the Stars Hollow town, but just on the edge. So if you imagine being in a golf cart and you go through like this, and I'm on this side of the golf cart, and here's the gazebo, and then here's Luke's and Taylor's and all that kind of stuff far out in front of us. And they said we couldn't get any closer and we couldn't walk around the town, which can sometimes be part of the tour, because they were doing a secret Gilmore Girls filming. So I don't know what that filming was. It was 2003, I believe. So it could have, I don't know, whatever they were recording in 2003. It was secret and we weren't allowed to get close. So we go on the rest of the tour, and I see like a diner from ER, and I see the set of Drew Carey. And what's interesting is that these sets are kind of intertwined. So you could be like in Jim Carrey's living room, and then you can walk into the set of some other show, and then you turn a corner and you're in the staircase of some other show. So I don't know a lot about set design, but there it's all very intertwined, and we never get to see that. And then so I turn a corner, and the next thing I know is we are in Richard and Emily Gilmore's living room, with that satin pink looking couch, with that fireplace, with the picture of Lorelai as a little girl in front of the house on top of the fireplace mantle. And I'm in Richard and Emily Gilmore's living room. And I was like, it's 2003, keep in mind. So I'm a little bit more of a fan, but not like fanatic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I recognize this set. Guys, this is kind of a big deal. And then I remember that we we could actually walk behind the fireplace. And then there was a la carte like catering table that had like gobstoppers on it. And I stole candy and I put it in my pocket. And I was like, I just stole food from the Gilmore Girls set. And I think I took it home and never ate it and just kept it until I left LA. And then I was like, this is stupid. They're gobstoppers. And I threw them away. So that's all I have. And I don't have any pictures of that time. I don't know why I didn't take any pictures. Cell phone pictures went around in 2003, so I wasn't just carrying a camera, and I don't know, maybe my friend that I was with has a picture, but I don't. So that is my unique Gilmore Girls story, is that I got to see the town set of Stars Hollow, and then I got to stand in Richard and Emily Gilmore's living room. So I'm at the end of my podcast, and the last thing I'm going to show you is this week's Gilmore Girls Knit Along prize. So if you're watching this podcast and you would like a chance to win this prize, please leave a comment on this YouTube video answering the question, what is your favorite episode of Gilmore Girls and why? Okay. So this is the prize. It's a couple of things, so I'm going to show them one at a time. So this week's podcast prize includes the I Love You 1,000 Yellow Daisies fabric in a project bag. And this is a denim bottom on the project bag. It comes with a Dragonfly Progress Keeper, an orange zipper, and the inside is just white cotton fabric. And this project bag also comes with a Dosey's Market button, which is cute, and you can totally take it off. I just liked the orange in the font because it went with the orange in the daisies and the orange on the zipper, and then the blue goes with the blue denim bottom. So this is about a medium-sized project bag, and with this project bag, you will also get these 3 skeins of yarn. What? 3 mini skeins of yarn, and I thought I wrote down what they are. Okay, I think I know what they are. So this one, these are all by the Yarn at Home Mom, by the way. And this is part of her mini skein set. So she had 3 sets of Gilmore Girls mini skeins that were available in her Etsy shop. And I bought all 3 with the idea of mixing and matching them and giving them away in Instagram and podcast Gilmore Girls Knit Along giveaways. So this first color is her Where You Lead, I Will Follow. And it's on her sparkle base. And I believe that this you can actually buy as a full skein. Not all of these are available in full skeins, but this colorway is. So it's the Where You Lead, I Will Follow. And I believe she has it on multiple bases in her shop. And then this one is I Love You, You Idiot. So if you'll remember, Rory first tells Dean that she loves him by saying, I love you, you idiot, which is just so perfect, right? I should have told my first boyfriend that way too. And it has some really nice greens and grays, browns and blues, very Dean colorway. And they're all on her sparkle base, and they're all by the Yarn at Home Mom. And then this one is very super girly, and it is the, I wrote it down, Special All Me Alone Place. So this mini skein is dyed to represent when Lorelai and Luke have broken up, and she decides, he moves his boat out of her garage, and Lorelai decides that she's going to paint her garage and make it her special All Me Alone place. And so these are the colors that Lorelai paints her garage and designs her garage, and it's also on the sparkle base. But that's not all. So the last piece in this week's Gilmore Girls Knit Along podcast giveaway is a Gnome Knitter Progress Keeper piece of pizza. So you'll recall that the Gilmore Girls eat pizza and order pizza all the time. I believe is it Joe's Pizza? Who can tell me? the name of the pizza place in Gilmore Girls that they are always ordering pizza from. I feel like it's Joe's Pizza, or it's not Al's Pancake World. But anyway, you get this progress keeper. So the whole giveaway this week is as follows. You get this progress keeper from the Gnome Knitter. You get these 3 mini skeins from the Yarn at Home Mom. And then you get this project bag that was handmade by me in exclusive Gilmore Girls fabric, including the Dosie's button. And I will release where I'm getting the Gilmore Girls buttons from, and I'll put that in a thread in my Ravelry group, but not until the end of the knit along. So some of the things I'll release kind of towards the end. But if you really want to know, you can just send me a private message and I'll tell you. Okay, so again, to be entered to win this giveaway, this week's podcast giveaway, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in answer to the question, what is your favorite episode of Gilmore Girls and why? Okay, so I believe that's it. I'm super happy that you showed up and spent some time with me today, and I hope you're enjoying the knit along, and if the knit along's not your thing, then I hope you're enjoying the projects that I'm showing and the knitting, and I'll see you all next week. Bye. So here is my Gilmore Girls knit along story for our very first week of the knit along challenge. I met Rory Gilmore.